Good morning, brothers and sisters. This is Brother G, and I'm here to talk about thoughts. Now, you know how we try to do things and we think about doing things. And let me talk about me for a minute. I am in a situation where I thought that if I do this or I do that, it would turn out better. So I tried to get online and try to get this and try to get that. Within this morning, I was listening to a sermon that said, "My thoughts is not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways." See, the thing that gets me is this. We haven't really let God do what he has to do. Say, what you talking about, Brother G? Like this. Say that you're in a financial situation, like I have been on numerous occasions. I ain't gonna lie. And you thought if you get this loan or that loan, it will help you. And in the process of doing that, you keep getting rejected, you keep getting frustrated, you keep getting aggravated because nobody seems to want to give you a loan. Then it came to me as I was listening this morning that you or I, whoever it is not relying on God to take care of our needs. We are relying on other people. We are relying on earthly system to get our needs met. See, that's something I had to come to realization with. We want to be like God. We want to have God to bless us, but we go to man to get blessed. Kind of strange, ain't it? See, the problem is that God said, my thoughts is not like your thoughts. In other words, the way I'm thinking is not the way you're thinking. Or the way you think it is not the way he's thinking. See, the thing is, we have to get our thoughts out of the way. And have our thoughts line up with God's thoughts. We want to be blessed by God, but we don't want to follow his ways to get blessed. If you believe that God take care of all your needs and you need money, why don't you ask him and let him do it instead of going to man? And you say, Brother G, I need it right then. I need it now. But you ever thought that God is letting you wait to build your faith? Think about the Israelites that was wandering in the wilderness. They brought through the Red Sea. They saw all the plagues. They did all these things. And they still grumbled. They were still thinking about going back to where they was. So God said, I'm going to test them and see if they're going to follow my instructions. So he gave them manna. And even after they gave them manna and gave them how to get enough for that day, some of them still didn't follow the directions. They wanted more. God told them what's going to happen if you have more than what he told you. If they're maggots and they're rot, they had to see for themselves. In the wilderness, God was training them to rely upon him. How is that? They're in the wilderness. The heat of the day, the cold of the night. But think about this. That was brought to me. Even in the heat of the day, God had a cloud above them. So it wasn't hotter than it was supposed to be. At night, he had fire so they won't be as cold as it would have been. During all that time in the wilderness, God was covering them. But we didn't see it. They didn't see it. And sometime in the midst of our ups and our downs, God is covering us, because things could be worse than it is, but we don't see it. Because we relying on our own thoughts, our own ways of doing things. I always used to do it this way. It's always been that way. But since you become a child of God, it ain't that way anymore. It ain't this way anymore. It's God's way. And the problem is we get in the way of God's way of doing things, because we cannot get out of our thoughts the way we think things should be. By this time I thought I would be here. At this time I thought this was going to happen. But God said, that's not my thoughts. If we're going to do things and be blessed by God, we have to do His way, not ours. We got to get out of our way. And sometimes that's not easy to do. Honestly, that's not easy to do. Because most of the time we want when we want, and we want when we want. But sometimes God delays to build patience, to build trust in Him, to let Him fight your battles. Even when the Israelites went out to fight, God went before them. Gideon, with just hundreds of men beat thousands, because God was with him. Now, we want God to be with us, but we don't want to do it God's way. What we have to do is get out of His way. Learn what His thoughts is, and let Him do it. Align ourselves with His thoughts, because He don't have to align Himself with ours. Like I said, it's not easy, because we all envision what we want and when we want it, but sometimes God gives us what we need, not the way we want it to be given. Some people, and I have experienced this, have to go through, excuse the expression, hell and back, because sometimes God tests us to see, is we going to keep His instructions? Is we going to keep His word? And sometimes we can't. So we repent. And God is faithful enough to forgive us and let us start all over again. God want to bless us, but He ain't going to bless us when we're not in His will. Narrow is the gate. And sometimes I think people get frustrated about where they're at in life. But they got to understand God will not move you forward until you line up with His thoughts, His will. Now, He'll give you plenty of chances to do just that. But He's waiting on us. We want God to do this or God to do that, but we want to do it on our terms. No, that's not going to happen. It's going to be on His terms. If you're not willing to do it on His terms, then don't look for the blessing. Point blank. We are in jobs that we say, I should have been this, I should have been that, but God telling you to move, but you don't move. Always in His time. I hear that all the time. In His time. But when are we going to get with God's clock? Are we going to continue to do things our way and not to find out the way God wanted to be done? See, we all have this preconception of in 5 years I'm going to be married, or 10 years I'm going to run this company. and it don't happen. Then you get frustrated, aggravated. But have you ever thought all this time you've been trying to do things your way and not God's? I am learning that. I'm not immune from that, because sometimes I mess up and want to do things my way and it don't turn out. I was the one who tried at one time was in a financial situation, and I tried and tried and tried and tried, get loans online here and there, and keep coming with the other things that I got frustrated. But through it all that, I never once asked God to help me. I never once said, God, this is my need. I never once brought God to his word. Father, you say you take care of all my needs. I never once did that because I was doing it my way. And it never manifested. I was doing it my way and it failed. God teaches a lot of things, be patient. God teaches a lot of things to rely on him. Are we doing that, or are we still trying to do it our way? My thoughts is not your thoughts. My ways is not your ways. So why are we trying to make it so? Brothers and sisters, rely on God even when things don't look right in our eyes. Because if you ever played chess, you know you got to plan 3 or 4 steps ahead. God has planned decades ahead, years ahead. He wants us to prosper, not fail. But if you don't want to fail, you got to trust God in all that you do. I'm learning that. So this is Brother G. Remember, align your thoughts with God's thoughts. Align your ways with his ways. And watch him work. This is Brother G. Be blessed.